Hello, hello. It is 12:05 Central Standard Time, and it is time for Lunch and Learn with LaQuita and Adina. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Miss Carol Boston, and Carol is going to be talking to us about leadership. And what we're going to do right now, we're going to take the time and we'll let Carol introduce herself. And as you guys are coming on, thank you so much for your continued participation every Tuesday and every Thursday right here. We do have our Lunch and Learns, and we're broadcasting across Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you guys so much for continuing to join us each and every Tuesday and Thursday. We appreciate the love and support. And while you're coming on, please continue to hit that like and share button. If you know someone that can benefit from learning more about leadership and how to develop the leader within them, this is a broadcast that they do not want to miss. Please hit those like and share buttons across Facebook, Periscope, and Twitter. And those of our viewers that are viewing on YouTube, thank you again so much for your continued love and support each week. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And if you are subscribed, thank you again. And hit that share button and share this broadcast with those that you know will benefit from today's conversation. I am LaQuita Monley, and I am the military spouse that provides work from home positions for other military spouses, dependents, and civilians. And my friend, Miss Adina Collins, she is the CFO expert. And today we have with us again, Miss Carol Boston, who's going to talk to us a lot about leadership and how to develop the leader within us. Hello, ladies. How are you guys today on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon?
Very good. Thank you.
Great.
Awesome. So I know Carol and Adina already, you guys met. If you could, Miss Carol, tell us a little bit more about yourself and about what you do.
I was going to tell you that the other day, my dad reminded me that from an early age, I had been involved in leadership, some things that I didn't really pay a lot of attention to. For example, back in 1971, I was the only girl to play on a little boys hardball team in 1971. Like that didn't happen, right?
No.
and then he reminded me that in junior high, I had been he says I'm still the only female. I haven't researched it, but I was president of the student council of my junior high. And they never had a girl do that. So I think in some ways I've been involved a lot in my life, but I don't believe that leaders are born. I believe that leaders are made, and you have to learn skill sets. And I also believe that leaders hold the vision for others. I hold the vision for my clients. And the reason I can do that is people have held the vision for me. And as I was telling Adina, back 30 years ago, 33, I was going through a divorce, didn't have a job, went to Dallas, Texas, and lived with my second cousin. And she taught me how to wear the Navy suit and the pearls and go for a job interview. And this is back when the government had just broken up AT&T and all the baby bells and competition was coming in. So I got hired by a company called Metro Media. And she said, can you come in and meet my boss, the vice president, tomorrow? And I said, yes. And so I go in and she interviews me and she sits back and she says, wait, I'll see you in Miami.
All right. Hello.
She says, I'll see you in Miami in a week. And I said, no, you won't. Now, mind you, I needed a job. And I said, I'm interviewing in Dallas. My friends from the tennis tour are in Dallas and my family's 3.5 hours away. And you have an office here. I'm working in Dallas. She called me, looked me up and down. And she said, I need somebody strong in Miami in a week. And I pushed back again. And I said, well, how do you know I'm strong? I've never done this. She calmly looked me up and down again. And she said, just trust me and be there in a week. And so I did. And it turned into almost 27-year successful sales career for major corporations, AT&T, Sprint, and Paychecks. And so I tell people that sometimes you have to trust someone else's vision for you before you can believe it for yourself.
That's good.
And there I was 26 years into this career thinking I had it made. I could been across all the stages, made the money, got the awards. I could do this in my sleep. And then one day I got that call and they were changing my territory by 80%. I'm like, 80%? I've been building this territory for 5.5 years.
Right.
I thought they were setting me up to fail. So a friend whispered in my ear about a job with a small company. Now, I loved major corporations. I was a weird salesperson. I was a rule follower and I loved structure. So I went on this interview with this really small company and they hired me. I mean, they doubled my base pay, gave me a director title. I thought I had it made, right? Here I go again. I could see the income potential. Now, I negotiated a vacation up front because I'd already paid for it. So there I was, 6 weeks into the job on vacation, being a good employee, staying in touch with the CEO, and I get an email wanting my opinion on something. So I replied back, and I waited. And he didn't reply back for 12 hours. There it was, Saturday night, 9 o'clock. There goes my phone. Ding, Carol Boston, you got mail. Here's what it said. It said, Carol, comma, that's what you really think? And it had 5 question marks behind it. Don't come in here on Monday when your vacation's over. You're done here. So I got fired in an email for having an opinion. I came back. Very next day, I had an interview, and I interviewed all over this country. I interviewed over and over and over for months and months to no avail. And I thought, how ironic that I can close sales for somebody else for 27 years in corporate America, and I can't close a deal to get myself a job. And there I was in my prayer time, many months into this, true story. And I said, God, I really did yell. And I said, you made me, you know, I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. I do not want to own my own business. You've got to help me find a good job. Literally 2 weeks to the day from that prayer, I got an email from a woman who I had met at a conference one time out of town for 30 minutes. And she gifted me a $3,500 ticket to go to Los Angeles to begin studying at Guerrilla Business School. Now, Guerrilla Business School is a foundational school for entrepreneurs. So you see, my God has a sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
Sometimes his and mine aren't the same sense of humor, though. So I figured what I was doing wasn't working, and I didn't know what I didn't know, so off I go. And that put me on the path to becoming a business owner and an entrepreneur. And one of the things that we'll talk a little bit about today that I teach on, it opened up my eyes to a whole new way of thinking. And the first thing I learned, LaQuita, is that you can't read the label when you're inside the jar. And every one of us is in a jar.
Yes.
That's why I believe everybody needs a coach, because we can't see our stuff, right? I mean, Oprah Winfrey has 4 coaches. When asked why she had 4 coaches, she says, well, I want to live my life in all 4 quadrants to the highest, and nobody's an expert in all 4 quadrants. Right?
That's right.
Right? People specialize. That's a good thing. And one of the things it opened me up to was a different worldview and a different way of communicating. And I learned for the first time about empowering questions. And I not only do them myself, I work with my clients with these, I teach on them in corporate America. And I was amazed and fascinated. So I began to study them and determined that I was going to master them. And that's a big part of what I do is mindset mastery through empowering questions. So like a lot of people out there who may not be so eager to have their own business, I stayed in resistance for quite some time. I mean, I had 2 coaching certifications and I still wasn't a full-time coach, right? Because I was trying to hold on to these other pieces to sell stuff because that was what was familiar. So here's a writer downer for your audience that I had to learn. You only grow outside of your comfort zone.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I had to step out, and everything changed once I decided, and I got rid of everything else and began to move forward in my coaching. That's how I got here today.
Wow, that's such an amazing story. So your story is a little bit different from some of the other entrepreneurs that we interviewed on this show, because most of them wanted outside of the box and just couldn't figure out how to get outside of that corporate box. Whereas you didn't want to, you were comfortable where you were, and the Lord had to put you in a position to where you just couldn't fight it anymore.
Exactly.
I think we all have some stories like that where we were trying to say, God, this is not what I want. Please give me what I want. And then he's like,
Sometimes he whispers, doesn't he? And then some of us, like me, have to be hit upside the head with
it. He does what's necessary to get your undivided attention.
Completely undivided, yeah. Yeah.
But that's
may I say one other thing?
Yeah. That
trusting in someone else's vision for you before you can believe it for yourself is so important. because that's not only how I got here, it's also how I became a professional speaker. It's happened 3 times in my life, and they've all been very, very pivotal. So if we have time at the end and you're interested in hearing, I'll tell you about how that happened too, because that too is another God story. I had someone reach out to me the other day and said, "Can you help me get speaking gigs in corporate America?" And I go, "Oh no, honey, it was a God thing. I got them."
That is absolutely something that we'll cover, because I agree with that. If you don't have, if there's no one in your circle of trust to whom you believe in or trust enough to speak into your life and help to direct you, then you're in trouble.
Yes.
If you don't have people in your inner circle or your power team that can speak into your life and you trust them with that much of you intimately, and you trust their opinions of you and the direction that they said, okay, no, we see this, then that's a very spiritual principle. That's a very godly principle. So it is effective both spiritually and naturally. Absolutely.
You know, and sometimes that's why I have a hard time with the word solopreneur, right? Because none of us can do it alone.
Yeah.
We might be the only one under the umbrella name of our company, but I don't think any of us are flying solo, at least not successfully.
No. Even in the realm of solopreneur, they have to have a team that's helping them do something. You may be the one that makes the business work, like if you're the one that's selling or whatever, but you still have a team that's helping you market and manage and all of these other things. So yeah, nobody's doing it by themselves.
No, not at all.
Nobody's doing it by themselves. Awesome. So, Mr. Dean, I know I'm doing a lot of talking. Let me shut up and let you jump in.
Well, Carol, how would you define leadership?
I believe in top-down, bottom-up leadership. There's leaders at all levels. You do not have to have a title to be a leader. And I think a lot of people confuse title and authority with leadership. For me, leadership is a mindset. I mean, write that one down. Leadership is a mindset. It's your actions and your attitudes. You can be a leader in your church. You can be a leader in your community. Perhaps you're a leader in networking. It doesn't, I mean, you saw how I stood up and said that man gave me a director title. Like I thought I had something, right? I had nothing. I got fired. I got fired in 6 weeks, right? So leadership is a mindset for me. It's your attitudes, your actions, and it's not only how you treat others, but it's who you're being. And I will tell you, just the other day, I had listened to Joyce Myers. And when I turned the show off, I sat here in quiet for a while, and I had to ask myself some empowering questions, right? I told you that I do that, and I do it with my clients, and it's amazing. And the question that really came to me is, who am I being today?
That's good.
It's not just what am I doing, because we can all be busy, but it's who am I being? And if I know who I'm being, then my actions will be in alignment with that.
Yes.
And I think a lot of leaders, and I will tell you, most of my clients, when they first come to me, don't know who they are. The very first thing we work on is clarity, because I can't help you get from point A to point B if you don't know who you are and where we're starting. Make sense?
Yes.
I also believe, and his name just escaped me. I use his name all the time. Peter, I can't think of his name. He was a foremost pioneer in leadership. And he said, you can't lead anybody else effectively until you can lead yourself. And so that's why I stop and ask myself those questions, right? Leaders, I would tell you, not all the time, because leaders are still in a jar.
Yes.
But we take the time to be more inward thinking and be aware of our behaviors, I think, that it comes up.
Okay.
Did that address your question?
It did. It did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just putting a few notes out here in the comment section for those that have just jumped in. And if you're just now joining us, thank you so much for joining us across Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter. And if you look in the comment sections, I have put a few comments of some very powerful things that Carol has shared with us thus far on leadership. She's talking to us about leadership, how to develop the leader within us, and what leadership is. A mindset, it's an action, an attitude, it's a state of being. You know, who are we being today? And something else that she just said, that we cannot effectively lead others until we can lead ourselves. I think that's a pretty powerful statement, because most of the time in leadership you hear, you can't be a great leader until you've been a great follower. Okay, fine. But if I cannot lead myself, then
Mm.
how can I lead someone else? So that's like, we can just sit there and just meditate on that for a minute. Where am I leading myself? Where is my life? My pastor teaches us that our lives right now are a byproduct of the thoughts and words that we've said, and things that we've said, things that we've spoken, which equate to the things that we've done. So if I haven't led myself to a great place right now, how can I lead someone else to somewhere I haven't been? So that's pretty powerful. I like that a lot. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. And you said something really important, because we create as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
We create as we speak. It's one of the reasons I really try to help people develop empowering questions, because if you want better answers, you have to ask better questions.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't just ask questions of other people. You ask questions of, guess who's the roadblock? It's me. It's not always them out there. One of the things top leaders do is they don't blame others. They take accountability. I am, like you just said, I am where I am today because of choices that I've made. If I want to have it be in a different place, I got to make a different choice. To choose differently, what do I have to do? I have to think differently. To think differently, I have to believe differently first. And one of the key differences in leaders and managers that I talk about is leaders take risks. They say yes, and they get into action, and they're willing to figure it out. And I talk about that with 3 different tools. A tool that I took from boating, it's called tacking, but I give a very simple definition: the art of celebration and empowering questions, and how these 3 tools work together. And so, for example, let's say you're a manager, you're chugging along with your team, you climb the ladder, you look out over the landscape, something doesn't look quite right, but you're a manager, right? Your job is to maintain the status quo, isn't it? You're not taking risks. You come down off that ladder, you look at your team and you go, shut up and keep working. We're making progress. Now, if you're the leader and you go climb that same ladder and you survey that same landscape, you come down and tell your team, stop working. We're in the wrong field. We got to change fields. Big difference. And what happens, even to top leaders, when they get under stress, if they're not aware, they will go back into manager behavior. And managers under stress will go back into employee behavior. They'll say, oh, I'll just do it myself. I'll get it done. Right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then nobody's being the manager, and the employee isn't accountable to step up. And maybe the employee just didn't understand the job. Right? And that's where empowering questions would come in. If you've got an employee that you've given something to do, and they're not doing it, and you're frustrated, and maybe the time is tight, instead of saying, I'm going to do it myself, which doesn't really help either one of you, come to the employee with some empowering questions. What one thing would have to change for you to get this job done on time? Right? What one thing?
Wow. So
go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you to just dig a little bit deeper into the empowering questions, because if we're, as a leader or as a manager, and you don't understand, those that are listening say, okay, what's an empowering question? How can I ask them something that's going to empower them? Talk to us a little bit more about empowering questions and how one can learn what empowering questions to ask.
Okay. Empowering questions cause you to ponder. They cause you to awaken. They cause you to actually see opportunities that you never knew before. They give you things like people call Oprah aha moments. They're questions that come from curiosity, right? Here's a writer downer for everybody on this call. They never, ever, ever start with why. Ever. How many managers go up to their employee and go, why did you do that? I bet every parent has said that to their kid. And what does the kid do? They get defensive. When you ask why, it brings in defensiveness. Defensiveness brings in the ego, and ego brings in emotion. And when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down.
Wow.
That's true. That's true for every human being. Empowering questions allow you to keep the emotion out of the conversation. They help you to not only see what you're doing, they help you to understand how someone else is perceiving what you're doing. And in doing that, you're able to get them on the same page as you with less resistance. I mean, who wouldn't like that, right?
Right.
Come on, right. Even with your kids, come on my side, right? With less resistance. I had a client the other day. she was laughing and she said, you know, Carol, I graduated from University of Miami with a degree in communications before I went to law school. And I said, yes. And I said, why are you giggling? And she said, better, more effective communicator with my children, my husband, and in my job. She said, even my children notice that I ask them different questions. So when you start employing these questions, people might look at you kind of funny, right? But that's okay. That's okay. You got this. So empowering questions start with who, what, how, and sometimes where.
State that again.
Who, what, how, and sometimes where. Here's another thing that empowering questions can do for you, and I'll give you some examples. So I was teaching on this at American Express, and I divided the HR team into 2 teams of 5, and I gave them an exercise to do. And I was going between the 2 of them. And I go back, and the director was sitting over here, and there was a lady in her group, and she was trying to get her proposal, her agenda, if you will, past this CEO. And so I listened to her for a minute, and I said, may I help you? And she said, yes. So I asked him a question and I reframed it and I said, how would it feel? Da, 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 whatever the proposal was. This guy sits up and he goes, that would feel awesome. And she looks at me and she goes, I've been asking him. I said, no, he was telling you that he was kinesthetic. You needed to ask him a feeling question. Not what did it look like? He's not visual. Not how did it sound? He's not auditory. She went, oh my God, they're going to make us better listeners too.
Yes.
Right? Right? I say, you know, the questions are the answers. Here's the cool thing. And I know both of you ladies believe this because you're God-fearing women. We all came here fully equipped.
Mm.
You have all the answers inside of you. So do I. But we're in a jar. So we don't know all the right questions to get all the answers out for us. Right? Another reason I believe in coaching, someone else can see and ask a question to actually get the answer. So I'm going to give you the most powerful of all empowering questions. It's called What Else is Possible? And here's the key with empowering questions. You cannot be attached to the outcome, and your job is not to figure them out. You're putting them out there on a regular basis that you've crafted around a particular challenge or issue or goal. And I work with my clients to make them very, very personalized. I mean, I can give you some generic ones today, but it takes some work to do that. It's simple, but it's not easy, but it's powerful. So your empowering questions are actually stem from developing your empowered statement. And I'm telling you, this is a 2.5-day course. This is not something we're going to deep dive into today. And I do training on that, but I'm going to give you a simple one. So let's say I said to you, I want to be healthy. What does that presuppose?
That you're unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not an empowering statement at all. But if I said to you, I want to be more healthy, what does that presuppose?
I want to be in a better state of health than I currently am.
Yes.
Right. But that I already have health. Okay. Now, if I'm going to make it fully empowering and specific and time-bound, I would say, I want to be even more healthy today. So now I have my empowered statement. I can begin to craft empowering questions to help me move closer and forward to that goal. So for example, I could say, what one fruit or vegetable can I add to my diet today that would get me closer to my goal? You just want one. When I talked earlier about that I teach on tacking and how it fits in with the art of celebration and empowering questions, right? You do things in bite-sized digestible steps.
Yes.
You have macros and micros, right? And so with these empowering questions, they're very specific and very clear. Otherwise, the goal becomes overwhelming, right?
Right.
I'm sure you've heard this, you know, what you focus on expands.
Yes.
When I was in corporate America, my last job at Paychex, at one point, they tripled our quota overnight. I went to my boss and said, I can't even look at that number. I said, your job every Monday morning when we have our private meeting is to give me my weekly number, not even my quarterly. I wanted my weekly number on a piece of paper in big red ink. And I would take that sucker and I would go stick it on my cubicle. And I go, okay, what 3 things can I do today to get me closer to that goal?
Mhm.
I'm not going to achieve the goal in a day.
Right.
But if I do bite-sized digestible things, I accomplish them and I celebrate them.
Mm.
I made that triple quota in 9 months. And I was like, oh my, I didn't know that I was tacking at the time. I didn't know what to call it, right?
Mhm.
But when you're doing the little things and you keep doing the little things, they add up to big things.
Yes.
But if you're only, you know this, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time,
At a time.
right? But we keep
Right.
wanting to focus on the big goal.
Mhm.
The big goal is not going to go away. Here's this. Here's a key thing for you and your audience. Are you willing to let me redefine success for you?
Go ahead.
Sure.
I was told, and it's prevalent across corporate America, especially in sales, we'll celebrate when you make your, when, at the end of the year when we make quota, right?
Mhm.
I teach my clients that's not celebration, right? Success is defined in the attempt. Because sometimes you have to go down a path to find out what you don't want.
Yes.
And instead of saying, oh, it was a failure, my clients learn to go, nope, that was a learning lesson. And we pivot, right?
Yes.
And we take a different path.
Yes.
That's why things are done in bite-sized incremental, and you celebrate the fact that you attempted without judgment. It's not, oh, yeah, but I didn't do it good enough, Carol, or I didn't do it fast enough, or not enough people showed up, or it took me too long. No, that's all just judgment. That's all just insecurity stemming from you, right? So we learn to accept where we are, take the next step, celebrate it. If it worked, great, take the next step. If that one didn't work quite like you wanted it to, well, what's the lesson I learned? And that's what tacking does. It allows you to pivot mid-course.
Yeah.
And change directions. It also allows you to navigate the obstacles that are in your path to your advantage, right? Or mitigate their impact on you, right? So you can navigate around them.
Yeah. Wow. I like that. Success is defined in the attempt.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So,
I had a mentor, actually, he's from Texas. You may know of him, Mr. Keith Cunningham, famous man, wrote Keys to the Vault, brilliant, brilliant businessman. And he taught me that anything worth doing is worth doing poorly the first time.
Oh, now that's perspective.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we learn and we do it a little differently the next time. And we learn and we get better. That's exactly what the art of tacking, celebration, and empowering questions do for you, right? So if you did something, you stepped out, you took a risk, because leaders take risks. They say yes and they get into action. That's what leaders do, right?
Right.
Action begets action. So they get into action and they say yes. When you try something, if it didn't get you quite where you wanted it, that's where another empowering question comes in. Well, what one thing could I do differently to get me closer to my goal?
Mhm.
Remember, we were asking for one thing. And if that one thing comes and you do it and it moves you closer to your goal, guess what? Whew, that was success. The goal isn't in the final number. The goal is in the attempt. The success is in the attempt. Well, what other thing could I do differently?
Yes.
Right? And
What else?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, you don't want to just say what else, because that's too broad. What one more thing could I do? Or what one other thing could I do differently? Right? What's that saying? When there's too many selections, I can't say it. A confused mind doesn't make a choice. It's like going to the Cheesecake Factory, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
Who can make a decision at the Cheesecake Factory?
Too many good choices.
And your mind gets confused. It's the same thing when we're trying to attain our goals.
That's good.
I mean, I've been guilty. Who else has been guilty as an entrepreneur of chasing shiny objects? Like, oh, well, maybe that piece works and maybe that piece works. Instead of saying, I'm going to follow this one thing and I'm going to do it till the end, get everything out of it that I can, and then I can try something else if this didn't get me to my goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, one of the hardest things for human beings, and I work with my clients on this and I tell them this, it's not always so much that we have to learn something new. Often we have to unlearn something old that no longer serves us.
All right.
Oh, now that's good
Wait a
stuff,
minute.
Carol.
Say that again. Say that again.
It's not so often that we have to learn something new. It's that we have to unlearn something old that no longer serves us.
Mm.
And that can be much harder. If you've been doing something for 40 to 50 years, I had someone say to me the other day, if you would just run your coaching practice like it was therapy and I could just pop in for a couple of therapy sessions. Well, what? Right? They wanted to pop in and get a 1% fix. I mean, who's going to undo damage in one session, right?
Can't do it.
You're not my client. There's another very, very big multimillionaire coach that I've listened to and learned from. And I mean, her minimum program is 6 figures, right? She's way up there. But what I did hear her say that really struck me is that her programs are only 12 months minimum. She has some that are longer at a very, very high executive level. But she said, almost without fail, she sees the most radical changes in month 8. Now, I have a client who's been with me for 18 months. And when she started, it was in my 6-month program. And all the clients I had before her did their 6 months and they were good and they went on their merry way. And that's awesome. But she hired me for 2 reasons. She said, I want confidence. I want to know when I walk in a room, I have something of value to say. And I want to hit my weekly income goals in my practice. She's a family lawyer, owns her own business. I said, okay, so we got to work. And I told you I have several tools, including the tagging and the celebration. And I have what I call my secret sauce. And no, I am not going to tell you. And I don't tell my clients. I just try to get them to do it. So October goes by, she's resistant. And I just stay with her. November goes by, she's resistant. Finally, the week after Thanksgiving, she shrugs her shoulders like this, rolls her eyes. Okay, Carol, I'll do it. And I said, you'll do it consistently? She said, I will do it consistently. January through May, we tripled her income every month over the year before. Wow. You see, folks, these things work synergistically, but that wasn't even the most exciting piece for me. Most of my clients double and triple their income, but you'll never hear me stand up and say, I'm going to help you double or triple your income. You know how it happens? Because we work on the personal leadership. Mm. They're getting that result. So I've learned to start asking my clients, what is the benefit of working with me? Not the result, because I know you made a lot more money. Right? But here's the thing. It was supposed to be a 6-month program, 1st of October to the end of March. And at the end of our session, the first week of March, she looks me up and down. She kind of says to me, she says, Carol, can you get me ready to run for judge? I look at my wife, I'm thinking, well, not in 2 weeks. And I said, when's the election? And she said, it's in 2020. And I said, well, when? And she says, November. I said, you're going to hire me for the next 12 to 18 months? She said, you're going to get me ready? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. Let me tell you what I have gotten to see the transformation in that woman when that other coach, her name is Lindsay Wilson. If y'all got money to go pay Lindsay Wilson 6 figures, go pay, there's enough for all of us, right? The radical changes I got to see in month 8 through 18 have been incredible. Incredible. And one of the things I've learned to do to be a better coach is to help my clients get more clear and see where they're changing, as opposed to just going, oh, Carol helped me grow my business, or Carol helped me double my business. No. Can you see how you're changing? Can you see how you're being? Right? It's the leadership mindsets and habits and principles. I asked this same client the other day, I said, if I'm working on new marketing material, new website and stuff. And I said, if you had one word to describe me to your friends who don't know me, what would it be? And I mean, she didn't hesitate. She goes, relentless. You are relentless to make sure I get results. Now, remember that October when I was on, or November, finally she said yes, right? Yeah. But, folks, if you ever hire a coach and you're going to hire a good one. Here's what a good coach will do for you. They're going to get you to say what you don't want to say and do what you don't want to do in order to get you to where you said you wanted to go. Because if you could do it on your own, you'd already be there.
That's right.
Right. So I help my clients do what? Get out of their comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's excellent. If you were already where you wanted to be, if you know where you want to be and you're not there, that's because you don't have the ability to do it yourself.
Yes.
So that should be a key indicator to you at that point. Listen, I need to partner with somebody that can help me reach my desired results.
Exactly.
And that person needs to be somebody who's going to push me and drive me.
And hold you accountable.
Yes, and hold me accountable.
That's a huge piece, is accountability. I know that when I first started my business, that's the hardest thing for me, to be accountable to me. I was thinking, why was it so easy for me to go make money for somebody else in corporate America and not make it for myself? I had to ask myself, why was I always the first one in the office and the last one out? But I'm not starting my day at the same time every day. Right?
Right.
So as leaders, we have to be willing to say, and be transparent about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I can help you get to where you want to go. That doesn't mean my life is perfect, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm in a jar too.
Yeah.
I can just see the outside of your jar.
Right.
You have that outside perspective.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And sometimes my coach says stuff to me that I'm not sure I like to hear, but I'm always willing to hear it.
Yeah.
And be open to, I just don't see that about me right now.
Right.
Wow.
So yeah. Am I cutting your ears off?
No, you
No.
the process.
Good stuff, though.
I can't speak for Adina right now. It's like, wait a minute.
Let me tell you, I love to serve so much. There's a lady on my team, and she's a content writer, a brander, and helps me put together my workshops and my speeches. And I'm telling you, without her, I would probably be a fire hose and inundate everybody, because I want them to get it so badly. And she's the one that says, you're speaking for 90 minutes. They're going to walk away with 3 points. That's it, Carol. Just 3. And she's like, cut it back. Another talk, cut it back. Right. And so when you say you're trying to process it all, I remember back many years ago, I was in therapy 30 years ago, and I was really frustrated with the people at work at corporate America. And my therapist says, well, what's wrong? I'm like, well, why don't they, how many times, I'm so clear, why don't they get it? Why do I have to keep repeating myself? And she calmly looked, great therapist, right? She looks at me and she says, you think everybody thinks as fast as you do? And I said, yeah. She says, they don't. She says, I thought everybody thought just like me. She goes, no, trust me, they don't. And here's another thing I learned. This is key for leadership, especially when you're leading other people. There is a huge difference between being clear and being specific.
Oh,
I used to say, I don't know what their problem is. I'm being so clear. And I had my first life coach back in 2007 when nobody really knew what they were. And I had been out of corporate America for a while, was deciding if I was going to go back in. I'm sure that was a time when God probably thought I was going to own my own business, but I went back to corporate America. And she wanted me to get clear on what I wanted so I could focus on what I wanted. So I sent her my list, and we get on the phone, and she says, well, I don't understand this. I said, why don't you understand it? It's very clear, right? I had said I wanted a 6-figure income. That's what I said. Now, most people would think that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
But it's not specific, is it? She said, well, do you want to make 100,000 or do you want to make 999,999?
Okay.
That's specific. Yes.
That's a specific number.
and when I had written what I was willing to do to earn that, she says, this is really vague. Are you willing to scrub toilets with a toothbrush for $250,000? You got to get so clear on what you really want in order to have it. Wow. And so that, when I talk to you about empowering questions, I keep saying, be specific. They have to be specific.
Yes.
One example of a client with empowering questions. Actually, he only became a client for a little while. He was sent to me by his board of directors, genius young man. He created a product that is not on the market today because his business went under. Nobody had it on the market. Nobody. And his board was introducing him to Sephora, Saks, all these places. Young kid, scared to death, couldn't sell, didn't want, I mean, just, they sent him to me and they said, talk to him. He needs to get in your program. So I saw him. We went through the opening call and I told him the investment. And he says, yeah, I don't think I can afford that. And I said, is that the question? Is the question, can you afford not to? Because they're going to remove you as CEO of your own company.
Wow.
Right.
So I gave him what else is possible. And there was a cafe in front of my office at the time, and I would see him over the next couple of 3 months. And every time I would see him, give him a hug, say hello, and I'd go, what else is possible? Now, remember, we only go back to what's familiar. And he'd say, I don't have a credit card, Carol. Okay, no problem. I'd see him again. Well, what else is possible? He'd say, I know I need to see you. Well, what else is possible? I can't ask my parents for the money. About 3 months goes by. Long story short, board guy comes in. Will you talk to him one more time? And I'm like, no, my time is valuable. I've given him a lot of time. He's just one more call. So I did. Hung up the phone. It was a Monday night. I'll never forget. There I was, Wednesday night in my easy chair. My phone starts blowing up with text and email from this young kid. You tell whoever's trying to be CEO of my company, I want an appointment to come see you. Okay. He comes in the next week and I said, wait a minute. I need to know how you're going to pay me. He reaches down. That's his pocket. He says, cash. Can I pay you cash twice a month? I'm like, yeah, cash works for me. I said, but what did I ask you on that phone call that brought about this drastic change? And he said, every time I saw you and you'd say, what else is possible? He said, I'd get irritated because I thought you were just woo-woo. Did I exaggerate that enough? Woo-woo. And he said, but that night you told me a story that connected it. So I decided I would try. So he said, I crafted my empowering question. What else is possible? And for the next 3 days, I got up in the morning and I said it out loud. I went to work, I said it out loud. I went to the basketball court and said it out loud. And I didn't try to figure it out. And all of a sudden, it came to me. And I want you to listen to this real closely when we talk about being in a jar. He says, all of a sudden, even after all these months, it came to me that all I had to do was find 2 more people to teach how to speak and read and write Spanish. And so I did. Ladies, he was already teaching people how to read and write Spanish. He couldn't get out of for months, he couldn't get out of his jar to see, he thought he had to have a credit card or he had to have cash up front, right? Because our brains are so finite that he just put out what else is possible. Now, do you want to know the story that I told him?
Sure.
Yes.
There was a man who died. He went to heaven. He's walking down this long hallway with St. Peter. And on either side are doors with people's names above them. And he's excited. He says, St. Peter, I got a door. Do I got a door? St. Peter kind of looks at him and says, keep walking. And they walk down this long hallway. By the time they get there, he's nervous. He's like, I don't know if I should be excited or nervous. But there was his door. Had his name on it, everything. St. Peter flung open the door. He looked in there with big eyes. And from floor to ceiling, it was enormous. And it was filled with packages and boxes and bags of all sizes and shapes and colors. And he looked at St. Peter and he goes, what is all that? St. Peter said, oh, those are all the gifts that God had for you that you never received. Because they didn't look like what you thought they should look like.
My goodness.
We cannot be attached to the outcome of how it shows up when we ask these questions.
Wow. 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 I mean, that story. I can see why it made him go home and think, like, how many things have we walked by and missed? Because it didn't come in the package that we thought it should have come in. And therefore we missed our blessing, our opportunity, our open door, whatever it was. We missed it because it didn't look like.
And also having the flexibility and the adaptability to be able to let go of immediately what I had in mind.
Exactly.
I had this particular method to be able to get it done in mind. It didn't come, the way that I thought, and now my life is falling apart because I can't adjust. I won't adjust to it because I've now established these huge roadblocks in my head, you know,
Yeah.
And I can only get there in a straight path, right?
Right.
right,
Cricket.
right.
Just so. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my. Oh my.
Yeah.
There's just a simpler example when you talk about business, and hopefully these entrepreneurs that are listening can apply this to their business. About a year and a half ago, I knew I was going to speak 3 times at the Tower Club, Fort Lauderdale, to 3 different organizations. And I knew the Tower Club only had a podium. And you can see I kind of move around in my chair, right? I'm not a stand behind a podium kind of girl. I'm out in the audience and I want to be with my peeps. And they either had a podium or had that handheld mic. Now, you know, I'm using my hands when I talk. I'm trying not to make them look too big in front of the camera here. And so I went to the Tower Club and I asked them what else was possible. And they said, that's all we have. We have a podium and we have a handheld mic. And I said, well, what else is possible? And she said, that's the way we've done it for 70 years. And I said, okay, but what else is possible? Now this goes on for a little while. And she's getting a little frustrated. And finally she goes, I don't know. Now listen, everybody, this is juicy sauce for you. And I just kind of grinned and I said, okay, well, you don't know. But if you did know, what would you say? That's a writer downer when someone comes at you with, I don't know, because I don't know is a defense mechanism. Guess what, folks? A week later, I'm in the Tower Club testing their first lavalier collar mic ever in 70 years. Now, here's the point. If I had gone in there and said, no, I have to have a head mic. I'm speaking here 3 times. I have to have a head mic. I might not have gotten any solution at all.
Right.
I wasn't attached to how the solution showed up. I just wanted a solution where I didn't have to stand still behind a podium or hold a mic to my face. And I got it. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. We can't be attached to the outcome. Even salespeople, I work with salespeople. They're attached to that quota. No, we're not looking at that quota, right? Your quota is $250,000. I'm going to tell you it's $250,000 or more.
Yeah.
Or more. Why are you stopping at $250,000? Don't you get paid a whole lot more when you go over quota?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we let that quota be too big, I got to have 10 clients by the end of the month. I got to be on 10 speaking stages by whatever, 4th of July. It becomes too big. Right? I hope that helped.
Oh
my.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think you've already kind of gone into the other question that we had in reference to how much identity really can impact the effectiveness of your ability to lead. Because if you've set up in your mind, this is who I am, this is how I operate, this is how I flow, then you're going to be operating from that, and you're really going to be pushing down again what you had in mind, but not necessarily able, making yourself available to be able to reach people where they are.
Exactly. And you know, when I speak in rooms, I tell people, you have a leadership mindset inside you. We just have to activate it. And how do I know you have that? Because only 2 kinds of people show up to hear me speak: leaders and leaders in training. People say, oh, he's a born leader. No, he's not. He may have been born charismatic or gregarious or outgoing or good looking or charming, but he has to learn leadership skills. Leadership is a learned skill. It's a mindset. And then you learn the skills. Excuse me.
That's true.
It's a mindset. So the very first thing I work on with my clients is clarity on who they are. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. It's the very first thing. Most of my clients don't know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, you can't own it.
Yeah.
Right? I'll tell you what, I had a client, different law firm, owned her own law firm. One of the first pieces of homework we do is crafting personalized statements so they can claim who they are. And they stand up in front of me and they say them. And I can tell from their body language the one they don't own, right? They just don't own them. And one of the ones that she just couldn't own was, I am a powerful CEO of a fast growing law firm. So we said, okay, we're going to put a phrase in front of that. I give myself permission to consider that I'm a powerful CEO of a fast growing law firm.
Yeah.
let me tell you, in those 6 months she worked with me, she got rid of the I give myself permission. She owned that. And part of what she told me is that in those 6 months, she had more clients than she had in the first 4 years of her practice.
Wow.
She owns who she is now. It's biblical. God said, call things that aren't as though they are.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have to believe before we see.
Mm-hmm.
And when that believing is hard, that's why I started this whole talk with, sometimes we have to trust in someone else's vision for us until we can believe it for ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's what I do for my clients. I hold the vision for them, right? So that they can throw the anchor into their future instead of being stuck to their story in the past.
Oh,
Anchor in the future and stop being stuck in their past.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yes, yes.
Yes. That's worth the price of admission right there, even though it was free, Carol.
Look here.
Yes.
Throw my anchor
into the future.
The future.
Right? I had someone who's PR and branding, and I love this woman. She's so great at what she does. And she said, but an anchor, she thought that wasn't a good metaphor, that an anchor weighs you down. And I said, no, an anchor is heavy, so it's going to pull you forward.
Yeah.
Yes, you either have to be pulled into your destiny or pushed into your destiny.
Oh.
Right?
Mm.
Who got pushed?
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get you fired.
You didn't tell me that was part of the plan, though. Thank you.
That's exactly why we don't know things ahead of time.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
We always see God working when we look back.
Yeah.
We have to be at a distance. Think about this coronavirus. We're keeping a distance. What are you able to see now from a distance that you couldn't see before?
So much.
Yes. Because you were too close to it. We're too close to it.
My.
Oh, right. Oh, wow. Did you sign up for the number 2 on our calendar? Like, did you sign up to do this more than once?
Because we are formally inviting you, ma'am.
Twice. Did you hit that button twice? Because if you didn't, you should.
Yes, please. Please.
Yes. I mean,
because one thing that I would love for you to be able to get into, and I know it's also part of identity, it's also, like you said, making sure that you are letting go of certain stuff. And I think that also, too, a lot of times, as especially newer business owners or business owners that have had to take the courage to pivot.
Yes.
Not only am I having to be more flexible and adaptable in reference to how things may be moving, but sometimes I take on unnecessary weight and shame that things didn't go based upon other people's expectations of who they thought I was, and not really stepping into who I'm becoming, and how much that impacts not only your mindset, but your ability to lead. Because I can think of a lot of people that have chosen to do that drill down type of management supervisory thing, and they know that they were not comfortable within themselves, and it showed more than what they thought.
Yeah.
And it ends up completely repelling people instead of drawing people to you.
I wrote some notes down. We'll talk about letting go and the weight and shame and what other people's opinions do for us. And I'll just leave you with a quick little example for you to be thinking about. I can't do it on Thursday. I have something on Thursday. We'll do it on another Tuesday.
Oh, absolutely.
I was listening to a pastor, Stephen Furtick, and he was going through a situation exactly like what I went through. And he said his elbow was hurting him like crazy. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "You have golfer's elbow. It's like tennis elbow." And he says, "I don't play either one of those sports. I just lift weights." And the doctor said, "You will be able to lift more weight if you will loosen your grip."
Oh.
Well,
you're gripping it so tight. Right? So you see, and we'll go more into that whole teaching. It was amazing. But often we're holding on so tight to what we think is ours that our hand is never open to receive all that we have to receive.
My.
Testify. Wow.
It's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Mm. And as we would have to say, we need to let that sit right there.
Let that one sit.
Right there.
Like this.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can't. Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're looking forward to the next Tuesday. Like I have like 100 questions in my head.
Well, you better send them to me. That sounds like we're not going to get in 100 in 1 hour. So
No.
You know,
I'm going to have to do an
email. Yes. Oh my.
I might come to Texas and meet you girls in person.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to come back out there and pick up my Southern accent again.
I don't think you ever really lose it. I really don't. I really don't think you ever really lose it.
I don't care. All of the places I've lived in the past 20 plus years, and I think that I've lost that Mississippi drawl, and people will quickly, especially if they're not from the South, will quickly say, "What part of the South are you from?" It never goes away. It never goes away. Wow. No. This has been such an amazing show, ladies. It's been such an amazing show. Thank you guys so much. Ms. Carol, you have definitely, one of our viewers here has just the fire emojis, and I agree with you, Miss Valerie. This has been fire. This has been fire, right? Such amazing content today. Those that have had an opportunity to come in and view this, I know that this has impacted them in a very positive way. Right. And that they will be able to, go a little further, run a little harder. But most importantly, it's very introspective. It makes you look at yourself in a deeper, more profound way, so that you can develop the leader within you and see where your stuck points are. Why are you stuck there? And who told you that you can't be the corporate CEO that you want to be? It's not what somebody else said. It's really what I'm thinking about myself, how I'm perceiving myself, and where I'm allowing myself to go. Am I celebrating my own accomplishments? Am I afraid to try? Because as you said, success is in the trying. I think that is my biggest takeaway today.
Okay,
success is in the trying. Wow. Because no matter how many coaches that you listen to, one thing is consistent across the board that I've noticed, and it's you have to try. I took a really great class that it was a substantial investment, but to learn real estate investing with Robert Kiyosaki's Elite Legacy Education. And that was the theme. I don't care what strategy we learned, what symposium I was in for whatever strategy, the number one takeaway from every instructor was you have to try. Don't be afraid. What are you afraid of? But saying that my success is in my trying, that's my takeaway. That's my. What about you, Adina? Like today, that is my takeaway.
So many, but certainly the last one in reference to holding on, that grip being way too tight. Because the thing is that we've heard this said also in other ways that a closed fist can never give and it can't receive. And it can't. And so I think that's been one of the things that I've tried to do also in some of my coaching, in getting people to kind of think outside of the box. What box? What box? What box? And one of the worst things, and I bring this up as well, and I really think that Carol's really hit one of the illustrations I'm about to speak on, is what's worse than being both the jailer and the inmate? You got the keys. You've got the keys already. But you've put yourself in the self-imposed prison.
Well said.
So, it's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing, and we cannot wait to have you back.
Yes.
So we're definitely looking forward to the
Tell
next.
all your listeners to come back next time live, because whoever's live is going to get a freebie from me next time.
Oh, hey, all right.
That is still listening. You hear that on our next show, and we will post it ahead of time. So please be looking forward to that. We'll post that and let you know when Miss Carol will be back with us again. And those that are in attendance have the opportunity to get a free gift from Miss Carol. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, ladies, our time is up. It has been a great time. Thank you again to all of our viewers. Thank you, Ms. Carol, for joining us. And those that are viewing again across Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitter, please like and share this broadcast. Those of us that are watching and have the ability to on Facebook, hit those watch party buttons. Share this broadcast. It is definitely empowering and life-changing, and people need to hear the words that we've been talking about today. But again, until next time, I am LaQuita Monley, my wonderful co-host, Miss Adina Collins, and our great guest here, Miss Carol Boston. You guys, thank you so much, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.